I'm Chee Pui Khei from UTM and my advisor is Dr. Najeb. I'm presenting about an investigation on stimuli-based virtual reality environments using OpenBCI to analyze stress level using the EEG alpha-beta ratio, and this is my proposal in FYP1. Moving on to Chapter 1 Introduction, we see that we have several objectives. Objective 1 is to develop a stimuli-based virtual reality environment that is capable of inducing emotional states using Unity, whether it's fearful or it is calm and peaceful. Objective 2, to analyze the effectiveness of stress-stimulating and stress-reducing stimuli on the virtual reality environments built, tested using alpha-beta ratio as shown on OpenBCI. Objective 3, to thoroughly analyze the use of the EEG alpha-beta ratio as indicators of physiological stress in conjunction with the developed VR platform to determine its stability and reliability as a tool for measuring stress. Moving on to the problem statements. While the COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in increased levels of stress, anxiety, and depression among individuals worldwide, and it has an effect that is lasting even after the pandemic. So there is also a shortage of mental health professionals, especially in Southeast Asia region, which may present challenges in addressing the mental health needs of individuals in this region and other regions with similar shortages. So as you see from the figure, we have the bar charts which indicates the number of mental health workers per 100,000 population as of 2020. And we, as the Southeast Asian countries, are actually 2.8. Compared to the global level, it is far lesser and it needs a correction and an improvement right there. Well, the third statement would be that the current methods for assessing stress level are often subjective and prone to bias, making it difficult to accurately assess and address stress-related mental health problems worldwide. So they are only telling us their feelings in the questionnaire and survey forms, which might not be accurate. Moving on to Chapter 2, Literature Review. So these are some of the comparisons of the previous work. We can see that most of them have been using EEG. And we want to be concluding the previous outcomes. So as we see, the stimuli in VR actually could be measured by having the EEG. We see that it is one of the most accurate methods out of all the measurements, as it is very stable and it has a high accuracy. And also, VR can improve the psychological quality that has been proven when it is being implemented because it is acting as an immersive environment for the person who is experiencing it. And then moving on to the alpha-beta ratio that we are choosing. So it is having a formula of power of alpha band, which is divided by the power of beta band. And we are choosing this out of many reasons. First is because it is effective, and then second is because it is widely used as in the VR related research and also as the stress indicators. And then also in the analysis, it is better for us to analyze, and for this we could use our OpenBCI, which is easily accessible in UTM. So moving on to Chapter 3 for methodology. We see that we started out with having some of the hardwares with the computer, with the graphic cards to download Unity and other softwares that would run the softwares to be VR compatible. Also, we need to have the OpenBCI starter kits and Cyton biosensing boards as provided by UTM. And then we have the VR headsets, which have been provided by UTM and also searched by myself separately. And then we have the survey forms, which we do survey mental health professionals to know what are the practices in the industry right now. And then we install OpenBCI and Cyclone, and then we test the setup, and then we design VR environments. We test some of the Unity setups, and then we generate the APK files. Well, just keep in mind that we might be retesting right here. And then we invite subjects from 1 to 4 subjects, and then we administer the VR environments. We record the brain activity with EEG, and then we compare the stress levels using the alpha-beta ratio, and then at last we evaluate the performance and we end it. So moving on to the research activities that we have done, we have been surveying mental health professionals in the field. So some of the important insights let us know what we should be designing for the VR. So in the stress stimulating scenes, we have known that miscarriage mother cutting the umbilical cord of a deceased baby or being alone in a dark, empty street had been very fearful. And then we have also known that for the stress-reducing scenes, for some of the scenes in nature, especially seaside or beach, in a beautiful day, would be helpful to be calm. And then we would be engineering the VR environments. As you see right here, it is in nature with some of the trees and some of the streams. And right here, we have been conducting our testing to ensure that the topography could be installed correctly. And then here, we test run with initial startup. So keep in mind that we only have 3 electrodes as seen right here and 1 channel, but soon we would have all 8 channels when we have our subjects with us. So in our test run right here, we first incorporate the ECG measures to ensure stable data in EEG, and then we place all those electrodes on the mastoid right here and also the forehead temporal region. And the OpenBCI software would show us the EEG of uncalm and calm mind separately. And then the tools and softwares used here are Visual Studio, used for coding, Python, the language used in coding, and then Unity, the one that we use for the 3D designing and engineering, and then OpenBCI, the thing that we use to view our EEG and brain waves. Chapter 4, Proposed Results and Discussion. So the expected results would be that for stress-reducing environments, there will be lower stress level, so that we see increase in alpha wave activity and a decrease in beta wave activity measured by alpha-beta ratio, which means that the stress-reducing environment is reducing stress. And then for the stress-stimulating environment, we expect a decrease in alpha wave and increase in beta wave. So it's opposite to the one just now. And it indicates that the stress-stimulating environment is increasing stress. So the expected discussion would be that the alpha-beta ratio would decrease in stress-reducing VR environment, and alpha-beta ratio would increase in stress-stimulating VR environment. If stress-reducing VR environment would be effective, we could even make it possible for future treatments. Conclusion and recommendations. So for our research outcomes, we hope that we can develop professional tools on using VR and understand how it could be used wisely for stress management. Of course, we want to know that we contribute these tools, including the EEG of alpha-beta ratio as the measures, but we also need practical applications when we collaborate with mental health professionals in the field. Here are some of the references. That's it. Thank you with love.